Welcome to Cat the Minion YouTube channel. My name is Teresa, but you can call me Cat. This is a pick-a-pile for air elementals for September 7th through October 6th. It's more of just a timestamp for when it came out, because essentially this reading is timeless. It's just like, this is just, the calendar day is just like coordinates. So if you want to read it for monthly, you can do that. And if you come across it like 6 months or 2 years or, whenever, then it should resonate. It's whenever you find it is the right time. Let me put it that way. So I've got air elemental. So I've got Mercury, Venus, and Uranus at play. And if you're watching for your astrological sign, we have Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini. So if you're after a certain ascendant, moon, Venus, sun sign, cross-watching, and it's in one of these, then this might be for you. Alright, so the piles that I've got, I have a pile here that's my triptych door spread, and this is for something that's affecting your heart chakra, whether it's a blockage or something you need to look at, something that's coming up to be worked on, right? This is the project that's due this month, or however that applies to you. This is heart chakra. So we have a triptych door spread here. This middle pile here is for some kind of ancestral work or information, something that spanning time involving your DNA, basically. Whether it's trauma or some kind of information or traits or what have you. Information that you need regarding your ancestors. Okay, so this spread that I've done for this pile is my 9 grid Lenormand, and then it has 10 cards. In theory, the base spread has 10 cards because there's the 9 Lenormand cards and then an oracle card. I think this for the air signs, this is the only pile that I pulled extra cards for. I think for water, I think it was water that I did the previous week. I think I pulled extra cards for every pile. I didn't have to, but for this one I did. And then this one over here is some information that your guides are trying to give you. A little phone drawing here. So information that your guides want to express to you. It's not necessarily like oh, I need help, let me talk to my guides. It's like what your guides really want to tell you, but they're often not allowed to unless you ask for help. So they want to give you a heads up. And this is like the answering machine over here. So we're going to play the message back for you. Okay, so heart chakra, ancestral, or guides, or all three. Timestamps are going to be in the description box along with all the usual information that you will need to experience my reading and work and all that happy horsepucky. So it's always weird for me to record these intros after I did the rest of it, because then my whole thing gets out of sequence, because I'm like, when I start off each segment, I'm trying to do the intro, and then when I go from this to, okay, now we're going to do timestamps, then I feel like I need to go through my whole outro again, and that's not how it works. So maybe I should tell you what cards are in these piles. So I have a combo deck, but the only ones that came out are from the Tim Burton deck of playing cards, and then the Lover's Oracle over here with the Heart Chakra pile. Ancestral pile has the Gilded Reverie Lenormand, because it's the only Lenormand deck I have right now, and the Elemental Hexagons. And this pile is my phrase deck, and the spread that I used is my Help Me, I Can't Afford a Reading spread, which is just 5 cards and then like an oracle card. Although this time I switched them. So I have a tarot card here from the mini Rider-Waite, and then I have my phrase deck for the bulk of the reading. So that's what's in there. So again, choose Heart Chakra, Ancestral information, or message from your guides. And we'll see you on your timestamp of choice. Okay, so if you've chosen the Heart Chakra pile, we're doing a triptych door. This is for air elemental energy, so we're dealing with possibly Venus, Uranus, or Mercury, and possibly Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius if you're watching or cross-watching for astrological signs, or to see what's going on with your planets and the energy they might be encountering. Venus also rules an earth sign, and Mercury also rules, hold on, an earth sign. Virgo and Taurus are their twinsies. So we're looking at the time period between and from September 7th through October 6th. We've got a new moon in there. We've got planets chunking into Libra, so that's kind of appropriate. Mercury retrograde in Libra. The moon in Libra on the 8th and 9th, right after that new moon in Virgo. And Mars in Libra starting on the 15th of September. And Venus in Libra until the 9th. So just missing Mars there. But hanging out with Mercury, which is another aspect of the masculine energy. So sort of a more youthful trickster masculine energy instead of the fully adult masculine energy. So I'm not going to get into that too much because I wasn't focusing that hard on the astrology, but I did notice there was a lot going on in Libra. So there we go. Libra. Which is ruled by Venus. So technically if Mars is in Libra, it's not escaping the feminine or Venus entirely just because of the ruling planet. But we're doing a triptych door. We're looking at something that's going on in the heart chakra. So this could be a blockage. It could be like a wounding. It could be something that's just really sitting in there. Some kind of emotional event or something that you're trying to, especially with all this air energy, it's more like the psychic aspect of the heart chakra. Something that's been a little hazy and might need some clearing up, or just some kind of emotional event that's sort of on the menu. Alright, so for the triptych door, I'm using the Lover's Oracle and my combined deck of historical fashion and Tim Burton playing cards. So I did clear and shuffle these already. I'm going to get them a little bit more, which I could have done while I was explaining all that other stuff. It's kind of... This is probably a bad idea for me to be having the camera in between my arms like this, because I really hurt my back yesterday, but whatever. Sort of any time I do anything, it hurts my back because I got a herniated disc and I've had my core destroyed twice. But, you know, I put some of this lovely ointment on it that my friend makes and pretend that it's all good. There we go. like to handle these upside down because it makes it harder for me to read the messages. I mean, I can still read it upside down. It's just, I have to actually, like, look at it instead of my eyeballs just scanning it. Okay. One on the bottom. If I need a clarity, I'll take these two other ones that fell out, but it's supposed to be a 3-card reading, so we'll just hold that for now. I'll leave that upside down until I'm ready to read it. I'm gonna get a couple of these. Okay, that was fast. I'll tell you right now that one has to do with the full moon. Okay, so we've got a couple of other cards here if I need more clarity. Alright. Oh, you POS. The only problem with this double deck is that it's kind of thick, especially for the size of the cards. So, and they're both decks are kind of slippery, so I squeezed it by accident and I almost had to play 108 pickup. Okay. Or 104, whatever. Okay. Alright, so the triptych door. So we have two little doors and then the big one in the middle. It's kind of the union of opposites. I'm going to turn that back around so we can't read it as easily. Actually, let me do it this way. There we go. Alright. So even this looks like a doorway here. So this was the 8 of Cups. Let me get that. Got some glare. Hold on. Oh, that's a little better. Okay. So the 8 of Cups, inverted. And I said I know that's going to be about the full moon because the full moon on the, is it the 20th? I don't know, the 20th. Full moon in Pisces on the 20th, and this is Saturn in Pisces. There's also a lot of retrograde energy. Saturn and let me read this right. Saturn and Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius. That's this guy right here. And is Uranus retrograding again? Uranus is retrograding in Taurus, which is Venus energy. And Neptune retrograding in Pisces and Pluto retrograding in Capricorn. And then Mercury's going to be retrograde in Libra. So the 8 of Cups is usually walking away from emotional stuff, right? Dropping the emotional baggage. You know, it's usually a bunch of cups on the seashore and the person walking away towards the water. With a full moon, though, and all this retrograde energy, it's especially pulling into the heart chakra, it's kind of giving me this idea of reviewing what needs to be released. So it's not necessarily a blockage, it's more of a weight. Like an anchor. What are the cement shoes that you're wearing that you need to smash on a rock so you can swim back up and get some air? I thought there was writing on my hand from the other day still, but I took a long shower last night. Okay, so we have the Jack of Spades here. With a Jolly Roger. This is like giving me pirate ship energy, and it's making me think of the ship card in the Lenormand deck, which I have over here because it's for one of the other piles. But again, it's like booty, like baggage. Like what are you hoarding? What are you hoarding that you don't really need? And if you think of booty, you think of it in a chest, right? Like a gold chest. but the chest is made of wood and the heart resides in the chest. So looking at this picture, we can see that the heart is in, I want to say, ensconced in this case here, right? This is baggage, booty, casing, stuff like that. We're not going to worry about this feminine energy right here. I think this is just Venus right now because it's Libra energy. Sort of like a hey listen moment. There's an availability of nurturing while things are happening in Libra. It's like a release and a balancing out. Also the idea of like booty, it's sort of like, not, I want to say karmic theft because of that pirate imagery, and I don't even know what that means, because you hear karmic debt, but it's sort of like karmic theft. And in that way, it makes me think of like absorbing other people's karmic energy, and somehow it's your problem, and that would be the lead shoes, right? This sort of like somehow feeling or being punished for other people's crimes, for other people's energy debts. And this in here is like a hermit moment. That's... So Hermit? Yeah, Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So we see this very green. So this could be Virgo here, which is like the inner child of Venus in some respects. But the Jack could be a page or it could be a knight because the playing cards only have one. I think the historical cards, I've marked some of the cards as knights and some of them as pages. But with the Tim Burton cards, there is no distinction. So it's like 11 and a half. I'm seeing it as a 1 because they could also be 1. Page could be 1 or 11, or it could be a knight, which is 1 or 12. But I'm seeing it as a 1 because I want to see this as 18, which is moon energy. 18 is the moon, and that takes it back to that full moon energy. This is how the full moon looks. If it was heart-shaped, it would be radiating like that. So there is sort of an illumination of fears or secrets, but maybe the secret is that it wasn't really your fault the whole time. Right? It's like holding a grudge against yourself. Steal away. Oh, is that... I think that's Led Zeppelin. Steal away. So, the Page of Swords, I've assigned Uranus energy, which is right here. And the Knight of Swords would be Taurus and Gemini energy. So that would be the other aspect of Venus and Gemini, which does make me think of Mercury in Libra. It's like the mirror image of Mercury retrograding in Libra. And Mercury retrograde can cause communication problems. But it also it like brings stuff up from the past that isn't complete. So people that you haven't heard of in a long time, heard from in a long time. That's weird. People that you haven't heard of in a long time. That sounds like past life stuff. Because if you've never heard of them, then you don't know them in this lifetime. But in the in a long time part means that you had to have known them. Which makes me think of transition. But, which it could be. Could be somebody who's transitioned and you knew them before by their dead name, but now you're meeting them and you're like, wait a minute, I do know you. But for other ways of filling out that energy form, It could be a past life thing. And it's the thing with discussing past life stuff is that all times are now. So things that we think of as past or future are just like further away from us, like in terms of a distance. So it gets a little convoluted, but it's like I want to say ET phone home. Yeah, it's just I just heard further away from your goals. I don't want to convolute it too much though, so we're just gonna say past life. Someone you've never seen before in a long time. That's so weird. But then, yeah, the night. I really do feel like it's halfway between the knight and the page. It's like all of these air elementals are kind of like they're like switches on a console that keep popping up and down, like a whack-a-mole game. So the energy is like a lot of like a flickering lights, like a light show, or like a Christmas tree where some of the string goes out at the different time as the other string. It's not just a constant blinking all over. It's like some are blinking over here and the other ones are out of sequence. Let me see what this card says. Close your eyes and tell yourself that you deserve to feel joyful. You can allow joy into your life regardless of the circumstances you currently find yourself in. So that goes into that holding on to someone else's karma situation that I was talking about. If this is a past life thing, it's like you've been holding the bag for someone else for 200 years, 300 years, 8,000 years. This pirate looks like what the hell, man? They're like shriveled. They're low on energy. It's like I started out as a novice in this journey, but I really want to I want to move away from that. And it's not the Fool, it's the Magician. Because between Uranus and the Mercurial energy, right, the Page and the Knight, there's the same difference between the Fool and the Magician. It's like I tried to pull a fast one by taking your treasure trove, and I didn't realize that all of your gold boxes were full of emotional baggage. And I've been trying to, it's like having to pay interest on a loan of someone else's karmic debt, which is actually pretty heavy and might be a source of long-time depression. So this, in order to lighten the load, to dump that weight overboard, basically, this is the source of the problem. This is the source of the fear and darkness. At least this particular nook and cranny of the heart chakra. Right, because there's a bunch of different stuff, right? It's like what are those? It's not Luxor, is it? The Valley of the Kings. Here we go. This is what we want. the Valley of the Kings, there's like the underground chamber, there's this long aisle, and then there's little burial chambers off of either side, right? It looks like a circuit board, right? There's like a main thing and then a bunch of little, let me draw a little picture. Where's my shit? My shit. Okay. Valley of the Kings. So if we imagine, I'm just going to draw a heart shape because it's a heart chakra, even though it's like lotus shaped in reality, right? So the Valley of the Kings, there's going to be like the entryway, which would invariably, or probably, it would probably be like a long angled tunnel that is very steep and would lead, long angled narrow tunnel that's very steep and would lead upwards like 20 feet to the surface. But in the underground part, oh, that looks like a rib cage, there's the main entryway. And this part down here might be the stuff that you normally work on in your heart chakra, right? How do I feel today? What have you done for me lately? And you may have cleared, let me use a different color for this. Oh, I've only got 2 other colors. So you may have cleared, you know, a bunch of these other rooms. I got, you know, the cobwebs and the dead bodies and all that. But this particular circumstance that we're looking at isn't like the only thing going on in your heart chakra. This is like a hidden room off of another chamber where all these boxes of this other person's baggage is that somehow got attached to you. That it was sort of taken upon yourself to be responsible for, and you might not even remember it. So this is what's going on over here in this reading. So close your eyes and tell yourself that you deserve to feel joyful, right? You shouldn't feel like your life is crap because you have to pay this off. This isn't even your thing. And notice how I said 8 cups, and I actually drew 8 side chambers here, right? This is all like, what are we focusing in on? What is, like, let's look through all these rooms and like in the corners. This is why it's not released yet. This is that full moon energy of like opening up all the space and like, oh, now there's a false corner here. Let's move this thing. And this is where like the hidden treasure is. But again, like I said, all these golden boxes are full of someone else's karmic debt. It's like an empath problem. The savior complex. I have to be responsible for everyone else. But there's a booby trap to that. It's, I'm so busy working on other people's problems because it hurts to work on my own problems. I'm afraid to deal with my own crap. But I never thought of it this way until I was in the middle of this reading, that, you know, it's like taking out a loan of other people's emotional baggage. You know, it's like, I'll help you this time, and then you can help me out with my problem. But the thing is, they never helped you with your problem because you died, and now it's like 400 years later. It's 2,000 years later. And your soul came in thinking that this karmic energy is yours, and you didn't remember that it has nothing to do with you. It's like a brand. It's like a DNA or like energy body brand. And this is kind of the moment to say, or like a tattoo, like an energy tattoo, and you're like, wait a minute. I regret getting these skull and crossbones covering my entire torso. You mean I can laser this stuff off? And this is the sort of energetic way of saying, like, this is the baggage that's not mine. This isn't me. This isn't who I am. This isn't part of me. Now I can get it. I realize that I can go through a process of burning it off of me, like a soul fire, like the core of your being burns it off. And this is, right, like a brand, right? The tree, it's like stamped into the tree. And that's, she's got some, looks like she's got tattoos on here too. It's that you don't have to be miserable all the time because of these chests of baggage. It's, you're allowed to feel, you're allowed to have a good day ever. You know, it's like, I have $10,000 worth of bills and $2,000 worth of money. My life is crap. And it's like, well, I'm never allowed to be happy now. But you can go and you can laugh your ass off at a comedian and go to a pool party and have some ice cream and have a little bit of relaxation time. And, you know, you're allowed to enjoy life, right? It's like once in a while, like people get mad at poor people for spending on luxury items. Like, I mean, even as in terms of food, but it's sort of like if I spend $20 on mental health and go get, you know, I get plastic crack, right? You could get a ticket to a cheap show. You could get a CD. You could get a watch boombox. You could get craft supplies. And someone's like your mortgage is due next month. Why are you buying this frivolous stuff? It's like, well, first of all, I spent $20, and second of all, it's not going to make a difference whether I can pay rent or not. And if I'm in a physical body and I can't enjoy anything or speak in English properly, motorcycle brake. It's like if you never have any enjoyment whatsoever, then life becomes not worth living. And this is allow yourself to enjoy something, because that's going to change the energy. It's going to like roll, it's going to peel back the skin on this festering scab of this energy that isn't actually yours but is somehow attached to you, like a little tick. Right, you got to dig it out by the head. That kind of thing. You know, it's like a splinter, right in your thumb, and you got to dig it out with a needle. You know, but you can have a needle that has like Hello Kitty on it. It doesn't have to be, you know, like a rusty old needle that someone left on the side of the road. You know, you're allowed to have something that brings you joy at life in a way that isn't addictive, because that just leads into that becomes not enjoyable, right? There is no joy if it's an addiction, it's a compulsion. So you're allowed to feel joy and release and happiness, and this is focusing in on what is that stamp in your energy field that doesn't really have anything to do with you, that you've been carrying from a previous version of you, whether that's like a pre-transition for anybody who's in the trans community, or pre-existence in this lifetime. It might even be, especially because this looks like not a fully formed person, it could be an imprint, a fetal imprint, right? Trauma experienced while in the womb. Like you can, like people yelling, or illness in the host body, or trauma to the body in some way, or some kind of like a I wanted to say like fetal alcohol syndrome, but my brain was like crack baby. which sounds really awful, but those kinds of things, right? That could be a fetal trauma. It could even be birth trauma if there was something wrong that really isn't your fault or has anything really to do with you. It's right outside of the control of your environment. If you're a fetus and you're being born, you're not, you're not manning the hatches or anything. So that could be an imprint that way too, but it could particularly be from a past life. Or technically could be a future life or a parallel life that's happening right now that you're picking up on. But either way, it's a treasure chest full of, like, face huggers, basically. Okay, so that's it for that portion. If you need more clarity, you might want my past life reading, or you can use the incoming soul reading and apply it to yourself, or one of the other readings. Like, I don't know if roadblock moguls would be appropriate. One of those readings, though. I have other ones. I have a list. So, if you do want to get a personal reading, you could also watch the other readings, the other spreads in this, the other piles. God damn, if I could talk. But you can also get a personal reading, which would give more clarity on the dynamic of the baggage itself, instead of just what's going, like, where it's coming from. Come on. Alright. So that list is going to be down in the description box underneath here. You can email me for a reading. It's PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo, and then also for donations, energy exchange, tip jar. If you found this useful, I would certainly appreciate that. I've also got coloring books, dark poetry, which might help open up those caverns. Merch, actual art items, prints, Etsy, 3-star 17% off purchase of 3 or more items. So a lot of my artwork is sort of psychedelic, and it's kind of designed to tap into and open up and describe different permutations of energy. And so they're often psychedelic. So some of those might help. The Chakra lotus set that I have on Etsy might also be useful. I've only got one up there right now, and it's small ones, so they're 4 inches in diameter. And I've been meaning to put more up. Got a bunch of foam over there, but we'll get to that. So all of that's available. I'm going to keep rambling if I don't stop. So don't forget to... Oh yeah, everything's through the link tree. So all of these contact points, payment points, merch and stuff is through the link tree, linktr.ee/catdominion. If you go through the link tree, that coupon code should pop in on Etsy automatically, and there'll be like a direct clickable thing to my email. It's the cat came back at camp, all one word, lowercase, even though it's written in caps here, at gmail.com, and I got my social media there if you want to hang out with me. All right. Yeah, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, check out my playlists tab, my discussion tab, and stay groovy, and we'll see you later. Bye. If you chose the Ancestral pile, this is how we're going to do it here. So I've got the Gilded Reverie Lenormand. We're going to have 9 of these in a grid. And I've got the Elemental Hexagons, and that's going to be our Oracle card. It's going to give information or sort of a focused topic. So we've got September 7th through October 6th. We've got air elementals here, so possibly Mercury, Venus, and Uranus. Or if you're watching for your astrology signs, we have Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini. Alright. So there's a lot going on in Libra throughout the next month. We've got Mercury retrograding, we've got Venus dipping in and out, we've got Mars dipping in and out. There's the moon in Libra on the 8th and 9th of September, and a day after the new moon. I think that's it. There's a lot of retrogrades. All the outer planets in retrograde. Uranus retrograde. Jupiter and Saturn retrograde in Aquarius. Mercury retrograding in Libra. So there's a lot. The North Node in Gemini retrograding. And who else? Oh, Lilith is in Gemini. That's that dark side of the moon kind of energy. And then Chiron is retrograding in Aries. Okay, so everybody walking backwards. So I did clear and shuffle these already, but I'm going to get them a little bit more. Camera's in kind of a weird spot. I'm going to have to move over a little bit. Not very great. These are slightly harder than the heart-shaped cards to shuffle, and that's why the corners are all chipped up. Also because these are thin. But I like them. Sure, I've got 9 of these. Okay, one of these guys. I don't want 3 of them. If I didn't shuffle with my elbows on the table, it would work better. Nope. Just bent the crap out of that one. Okay. I was going to put them back in the box, but in case I need a clarifier, I'm just going to stick them on top of it for now. Okay. Set them up and knock them down. Ancestral. So, when I was gonna do this pick-a-pile, I pulled out the decks first because I knew what spreads I was gonna be doing, and this is supposed to be a grid of 9, but this is not. Weird, okay. Alright, I'm going to put it that way. That's how it wants to be. So normally this is a grid of 9, but apparently I'm supposed to set it up differently. Let's see if I can squeeze these into here. See if they'll still be in the frame. Kind of, but not really. This isn't all going to be in focus at the same time, but I'm going to do my best here. Okay. Ow. All right. So when I was pulling the decks and thinking about what the 3 topics were going to be for the piles, I saw what looked like kind of like a factory, but it looked like a dollhouse, and it looked like, you know, 19th century, early 20th century. So and it made me think of like somebody doing a lot of work, maybe like a flow chart. But then it made me think of a family tree. So that's how I came up with some kind of ancestral message or issue, right? It could be ancestral trauma. It could be a message that your ancestors are trying to give you. It could be something that happened that's critical to understanding your world as you know it. But we're going to find out what's going on and why these cards are not in their normal grid shape. Let's look at the hexagon here. Vanadium, the Seeker. So this is the Hermit. But we have a flashlight here, right? So we're illuminating. I believe vanadium is like a silvery color, so it gives me this, like through the looking glass kind of thing. Like a distortion. We also have Hermit energy, which is Virgo, which is mercurial energy. And I also see Virgo as the inner child of the Empress, which is Venus energy. But we already knew that we were seeking something. But again, there's this idea of illuminating. But if you shine a light on something that's sort of like silvered or mirrored, it has this reflective quality, kind of like the moon, but possibly not really. So in terms of the Hermit, it would be 9. In terms of this card number, it's 23. So I see that the Empress number 3, I see the High Priestess number 2, and the Hermit is Virgo. So it's the Mother, the Maiden, and the Crone all together. So it could be dealing with feminine energy here. But this could also be 5, which would be the Hierophant, which is also Venus because it's Taurus energy. But the 5 can also be, the Hierophant could be like marriage. It could also be religion. It could be spirituality. It can be the connection of the material and the spiritual. So there could be a disconnect there. It could also be hallucinations. This could be nightmares, right? I need a flashlight. It's too scary in the dark. The 5 is also like a shift or a pivot. There's some kind of like rusty chains breaking, like rusty gears creaking back into function. Alright, so let me flip over these cards because this is weird configuration here. The Mask inverted, or Masks number 40. This is a extended deck version, expanded version deck. So this is an extra card, so it has no card affiliation. So for me, it comes out as Major Arcana. I have 40, which would be 4 10s or 10 4s. right? 4 completions or 4 wheels, and I just said like breaking the chains, getting those gears into motion. So it gives me that more than it would give me 10 emperors. Although it could be, if we're talking about ancestral, it could be 10, like 10 fathers ago, 10 patriarchs ago. Or if it could be talking about a royal family, like literally 10 kings ago, but that's usually still 10 fathers, depending on whether it's Tannic or not. But I also see 4 just the Emperor in general, or 0 the Fool, which is this Uranus energy. And there's 2 planets retrograding. Jupiter, which rules the wheel, and Saturn, which is devil energy, but it could also be the world. This one first. The compass. Now, when I said through the looking glass, or did I say? I thought I said through the looking glass. It goes into a mirror world, and these cards are inverted. Sometimes when I see inverted cards, it's sort of like the opposite, but sometimes it's we're in the dream world, we're in the mirror world, we're in opposite land. So we have 42, the compass, also major arcana. So the emperor number again, the high priestess number. Combined we have 6, which would be Gemini energy as the lovers. Mercurial energy. Virgo is mercurial energy. 4 wheels in the high priestess, though. It's like it wants to be the chariot, but it's lacking direction. There's no steerage. So here's the tree. Okay, the family tree. This tried to come out when I was shuffling. 5. Also the 5. Like this one. A lot of green as well. And there's like a spot of light here. So we have a... Why did I want to say Shekinah? It's not right. It's the Sephiroth. But this is also like a blueprint for the Merkaba. But it also it can also be sort of representative of DNA, even though it's not the same structure exactly, but it does lend the idea of an offshoot of the DNA, right? And the offspring. But this tree is, it's like uprooted, right? Somebody's family might have been displaced, whether like refugee, slavery, religious persecution, natural disaster, disease, famine, stuff like that. So there could have been a displacement, which is why the ancestral roots have to be sought after. It can also be just basically genocide. Right? Think of all those mission school burial pits. So we have uprooted. There's other meanings for the tree in this deck, but I'm getting family tree, offspring, uprooted. With a 5, right? Because there's movement. It was displacement. 7 of Cups is like, it's options. Here it's like there is no option. You had, like, it was sort of like the only chance. Like, hop on this ship going to, you know, whatever location that you've never heard of, or you're going to be murdered. Or you're going to die, or you're going to starve to death. Sometimes without parents, too. I'm getting Tom Petty like a refugee stuck in my head. So this also inverted. We have 19, which is the Tower in this deck. This is about bureaucracy, though. The establishment. The powers that be. So notice I said 10 emperors. This could be the patriarchy itself. It's inverted with Six of Swords. Six of Swords. Doesn't work if it's on the table. So Six of Swords. Oh, I don't know why it's Mercury in Aquarius. So there's a lot of air energy in these readings, which would make sense because it's supposed to be for air elementals. Mercury in Aquarius. So the Six of Swords, for me, when it's inverted, usually means we need to go deeper. This is also giving me retrogrades, right? 2 planets retrograde in Uranus, which is Aquarian energy, and Mercury retrograde. But typically when it's inverted, the Six of Swords is inverted, it gives me scorpionic energy, which tells me I need to go deeper. And I'm also thinking about when people's families are displaced, there's often a break in the genealogical records. Right? I can't find information on my Native American ancestors that's solid that I have in writing past like 1900 or like 1850 or something. And it's incomplete. I can't find information on my French ancestors before 1596. I can't find information on my Scottish ancestors before 1850, or the Irish ones before like 1920. There's a break in the bureaucracy, the paper, and a lot of the time you have to dig deeper. And for people who are whose ancestors were slaves, there's even less information a lot of the time, and people that had to up and leave, like as a war refugee or famine refugee, might not, especially if they were separated from their parents, might not even have the right names, right? Like, I'm not even sure I have the right name for... I'm not even sure of the spelling for the last name of my Polish ancestry, so I don't know, like, which village to look in for records, because I don't even know how, like, I don't know how to pronounce it, and I'm not sure of the spelling. And that creates this separation, right? I don't know where to look for the records. I have to dig deeper. I've got to, like, I have to do like a town hall crawl over like 12 different countries to get the information. That's the kind of stuff that's going on here. But notice how all of these cards are inverted. So we're dealing with the mirror world, we're dealing with retrograde pressure, we're dealing with stuff that's backwards in time, right? If we were looking towards the future, maybe all the cards would be upright. Okay, so over here we have loyalty. So you have this dog here. 10 of Cups, 18, moon energy. Also seeing like Ace of Cups and 8 of Cups and 9 of Cups. Possibly the Hermit again. Ten of Cups is like emotional fulfillment. It also could be completing a cycle, so there's that wheel energy again. 10 of Cups on its own, though, is Piscean energy. I think, yeah. Traditionally, Mars in Pisces, although I did reassign it Pluto. But here I feel like it is the Mars energy, partly because Chiron's retrograding in Aries, which is Martian energy. And it falls in line with those other retrogrades. Here, though, the card is upright. So this could be the mirror world, and this could... Oh, okay. Retrograding in the mirror world would make it upright. We have loyalty. So we have tradition to tradition. Staying true to your roots. Or perhaps wanting to, because this is a puppy that wants to go out. Right? Where is the older responsible person to take care of my needs? But again, emotional fulfillment. 7, so this is the snake here. We have Queen of Wands attached to it. It's coming in inverted, number 7. 7 is that Chariot number, but here 7 of Wands has to do with standing your ground or not letting people in or letting people in. It's like a gatekeeper. This is number 8 again. I always see this as an infinity that's been broken, something that's not complete. Queen of Wands. It's a Queen of Wands energy. Pisces and Aries energy. So this is the same energy as the card above it. I'm getting a little bit of like bite the hand that feeds, or an expectation to be protected but to be attacked instead. And that would happen if there was some kind of trauma or being separated from the parents. Someone in the bureaucracy attacking. So the Queen of Wands in the inverted position is like an evil enchantress, evil sorceress, distorted authoritarian feminine energy. Like an off with your head Queen of Hearts kind of energy. It's also could be like mistress energy, but I'm not getting that here. I just heard this part of the song Devil Woman in my head. So we have 8, another 8 here. This is the sarcophagus. 9 of Pentacles. I think that's Virgo energy. Venus in Virgo. This is like healing of the body here. And I'm not sure if this is coming in the mirror world or coming in the regular world, but it's sort of where the flashlight is pointing. I mean, yeah, the flashlight is pointing towards the sarcophagus, and there's sort of a light mist here, as if you were shining a light in there. And this is related to the this reminds me of the heart chakra reading, because I was talking about the Valley of the Kings, where I drew this picture and I was talking about how there's this where they have this big tomb thing, and they have a rooms off to each side with the people in it, and then typically in a burial you would have each room would have its own sarcophagus. But this isn't always manifestation. It's like the physical body, right? I died, I'm sick, like resurrection kind of a thing. So here with this upright, this 8, it's giving me this like looping. There's a loop, like a little bit like somebody who's born in the same family line repeatedly, because sometimes that happens. People will leapfrog each other and stay in the same physical manifestation of the DNA. But this is about healing of the body. It's like, it could be a little bit like family curse, but it's an epigenetic thing. trauma is written into the code and stamped into the chromosomes for at least the next 7 generations. Here it might actually be 8 generations because the number 8 keeps coming up. Or it's sort of like on the 8th generation is the one to have a eureka moment and kind of shake it off. Like slowing off the skin of a snake, right? It's shedding the old skin that was the restrictive, traumatic one. But the only reason, and especially with lobsters too, anything that has to shed to get bigger, to shed for expansion, is only done so by constriction and pressure. That's not to say it's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It's just saying that the growth comes from like a force that's pushing outside of the barriers, which could be the bureaucracy. But this card to me indicates healing via this Virgo energy, this healing energy. This does make me think of childhood here, though. It's like being stuck in a lack of maturity, because any king or queen that's inverted can be in distortion, but it also can be immaturity. Right? I am in this position, but I am not in control of it. I'm out of alignment. Right? You got the keys to the candy store, but no concept of leaving all this crumbs out and having like rats and flies and stuff come in and ruin the lot of it so that there's not going to be any more candy. That kind of like irresponsible, that's what I'm getting here. And this is like, I need someone to take care of me. This is irresponsible, and this is now I have to do healing. Right? There's a cause and effect there. This is like a lack of direction. But it's also this idea of I'm trying to dig deeper to find the information that I need. So we have the bridges, 38, coming in inverted. When I see the 3 and the 8, it always makes me think of the Empress and strength and justice. Justice is Libra energy. The Empress is Venus energy. And strength is sun energy, which is masculine, but sometimes it's 8 index, sometimes it's 11, but it's still 3 and 8 is still 11. So it's either or it's both. I mean, there's 2 bridges here, so it's like this and that. But here there's bridges that are not being crossed, or they have to be crossed in the mirror world. This is like, again, this idea of uprooting, of being ripped apart, and once that bridge to this other realm is crossed, you can't go back. That road isn't going to be repaired. It's flooded out, and it's not in the budget to recreate it. And then we have the dice, 39. So this is like taking a chance. And again, there's this idea of, you sort of taking your life in your hands, a huge risk to transport your entire world as you know it to somewhere else where you're isolated or alone in some way. There's a huge risk in being separate from the hub of family, from a tribe. And here it looks very much like being separate. Even this snake is in a tree. Right? It's not just the idea of like, oh, a bad apple. It's, what is that thing where it's like, when someone's similar to their parent, it's like, oh, they're like two, like the same kind of apple off the tree, or like the same kind of cracker in the box, that kind of thing. I can't remember how it goes exactly. It's similar to a chip off the old block, but it's a little bit different. This also seems like entanglement. I feel like there needs to be more said about these dice, though. There's a 1, a 2, and a 5 here. That's 8 again. There's a 3 and a 4 and a 6 here. 7 and 9. Or 10 and 3, 13. There's definitely like this idea of a transition. It's like when you can hold them all you want, but once you roll them, once you've cast the dice, you have to go with what, like, you can only move that many spaces. And again, this idea of casting, like casting off, casting your lot, cast away, that kind of thing. You know, like hidden, like I hid in the storage of a ship and managed to escape. But I had nobody to take care of me, and this sort of having to raise yourself up in a way. I feel like I need some other cards. I want to... this 10 of Cups is kind of confusing me a little bit, and also because I had to take a break once I started flipping these cards over, because I had to change the battery. Alright, so we have hydrogen for the puppy, and I need some more for this cluster over here. I think in the world that we're in now, almost everybody's had some kind of separation from family trauma because of major wars and natural disasters. But even going back like thousands of years especially, there'd be a lot of marauding and enslaving, and the whole global cataclysm thing from the flooding at the end of the Ice Age there. I don't know if I want these cards yet, but I'm going to take these two. So over here with this puppy, I have hydrogen. It's a spiral. Building blocks, the magician. Chaos. This is giving me this idea of like I'm small. I feel like the smallest piece of the world, and everything is sort of swirling chaos around me. But hydrogen is kind of like the building block, and I feel like that's what's connected. I see 1, I see 10. But again, it came inverted, which could be things being ripped apart. It's over here. So I have 74, which breaks down to 11. Tungsten, ability to hold an edge. And then 19, potassium, which is soundness. Again, with this physical body, there's like a healing of the physical body. This cutting edge makes me think of surgery. Adding on in fragmentation. This is like I'm not allowed to have care and attention versus some kind of surgery to heal the physical body because the ancestral trauma was unknown. Like, I didn't know there was a history of cancer in my family, or this might have been a psychosomatic illness, but because I didn't know what the root cause of it was, the only option was surgery. Because maybe I could have, like, undid all the engrams and the like this DNA and cellular memory through some kind of sound bath or qigong or something like that. Like, knowing the history sort of gives you an arsenal against what comes up, right? It's not like I'm fighting against this family curse. It's like I'm unknitting it. Hydrogen, I'm unknitting it. I'm deflating it. I'm unwinding it. You know, it's like there's a slipped stitch in my blanket, and I'm unwinding it back so that I can do the knitting right, and then I'm gonna redo it. I'm gonna knit it back up, and then I'll have the physical healing. Or like, I'm sewing and there's a knot in my thread. The surgery is like I'm cutting the thread. You know, and I've had to extract the knot in some way, but I could have just like undid the stitches and picked the needle through the knot and then untied the knot to heal myself instead of just cutting the thread entirely. Let me see what these other cards are. Lithium, emotional stability, justice, having to do with health as well. So justice was that 811. This is the bridge. Barium, these crystal rosettes. Roses and thorns, wisdom. This is the star energy. That's that rebuilding and that hope. This is an 11, and this is a 3. We have 11 over here. 19 is the number of the sun in tarot, and the sun is also the Leo energy from the strength card. So we have germanium, 32, Neptune energy, but it was coming out like this. We have a chess game here. I really said Alice in Wonderland. I also said that off with their heads kind of energy. Right? It's a strategy, it's a battle. Here it's disagreement. But I feel like this is more like maligned, conflict. You know, switching the pieces changes the gene expression. It's the epigenetics. And we're moving the code around here, but it has to be done strategically. And I feel like when somebody says something's germane, it means like pleasant, but I'm not sure. And I don't... My segment ended. I wasn't going to look up germane, but because I had to put the SD card in my computer to figure out where I left off, I got out my dictionary and looked up the word germane and Saint Germain as well, for a minute. So germane means like relevant to, pertinent, and then it said it comes from the word German, lowercase, which means like familially related. Like someone who's German to you is like your kin, like your cousin. So not only is it relevant, but it's related to relations. So an element of kinship related to moving the pieces of the genome around, recombining. I just want to see what's on the bottom of the deck too. If I can get these cards to line up right. There we go. Niobium. 41. Breaks down to a 5. Which we have here. It's the Magician and the Emperor together. The mastery of the physical and the spiritual, making up the Hierophant. So it's rites of passage. So this is also, rites of passage have to do with long-standing family traditions, right? From father to father to father to father, and so on. And it's coming back to this patriarchal energy too, 40 and 41. These are like nose rings and earrings and stuff. And piercing is something that you can do that changes your energy, depending on where it is. If you get, I don't remember what it's called, one of those like piercings in a weird spot in your ear can help with migraines and things like that. It's tapping into certain energy centers on the body, like acupuncture and things like that. But there's also a long history of jewelry and other body mods related to certain peoples or cultures or lack thereof. But rites of passage is sort of like clearing an ancestral trauma to heal your body can be a rite of passage in and of itself. You know, it's like I'm perpetually in this state of, you know, is someone gonna come with me and let me out? And once this passage is achieved, you're like, I can open the damn door myself. And it's the gateway to happiness, or to at least relief and contentment. I also feel like niobium is hypoallergenic, which is in and of itself a way of healing some kind of physical ailment. So we see that there's this sort of complex network of kind of lost ancestral connection or trauma. This mask thing makes me feel like people pretending to be something they're not, right? Like, we might be Jewish, but if we don't pretend to be Christian, we're going to be murdered. Or if I don't stay out of the sun and pretend to be Italian, they're going to come and sterilize me because I'm Native American. You know, like, think of all those people that could pass for white and move north just to be out of slavery and racism. And there's countless examples of people disguising themselves to avoid some kind of persecution or calamity. It has nothing to do with espionage. It's all about survival of it's like preserving culture. There's things happening now where there's like one person left out of a culture and they're the only one who knows this language, and they're 100 years old, and if we don't record them in like the mountains of Siberia like right now, that information is going to be lost forever. You know, it's like, why can't we read the Rongo Rongo script? Why can't we read these other scripts? Because the people had some kind of calamity, and all of the culture and information was lost. This might be such a wide gap in that information, but it's giving this like a piece of paper there. It's giving this kind of idea that the ancestral line, like what happened, like it's severed trauma, persecution, natural disaster, whichever one of those feels like it's the most resonant. It could be all of them, depending on what your ancestry is. Unless you're like inbred enough to have homogeneous DNA, you might have a little bit of everything, right? A little bit of everything, although it all boils down, the basic, it's the same. But, you know, it could be a little bit Vesuvius, a little bit typhoon, a little bit like marauding invaders. It could be a little bit you know, Nazism, World War II. It could be a little bit Christians versus pagans. It could be any of those kinds of things. It could be the, you know, the fall of Atlantis. It could be the explosion of Dwarka. It could be any of those kind of situations, or it could just very well be colonistic racial genocide, because that happened all over the world, and there's like thousands of people descended from indigenous people, whether they, you know, that have been in hiding, or they just don't talk about it, or to the point where it was separated enough that they don't even know, and it could be sitting in your DNA. A lot of people are getting those like 23andMe and whatever, and they're finding that they're related to these peoples here, these peoples here, and they had no idea, like 10% this, 7% this, 25% this, and they're like, oh my god, I thought my culture was something else entirely, I had no idea. So this is describing that there's traumas and gaps, there's separation, and the sort of like ailments that in the physical world often lead to something like surgery designed to heal what's coming up, often have deeper roots to trauma. Because a lot of the time what's wrong with our physical body is a meat space manifestation of what's going on in our energy. And the DNA is sort of like the chromosomes, and the DNA just sort of records the information, right? It's like, okay, we're having trauma, let's make sure you hit save before you quit this application, before the computer crashes. Like, save your data. And that's what's coming up. And especially for air signs, it's like you can kind of outthink yourself until you're up your own asshole about any particular subject. To have it laid out in the cards is one of the reasons why using cards for divination at all is useful, because it puts it in some kind of physical representation to say, I'm not imagining it. This is like, my intuition isn't screwed up. This is I'm actually onto something here. It's not just me like wishful thinking, or it's not just me like imagining something or having nightmares because of something that I saw on TV. You know, like, oh, I've thought about my ancestors, but then I got distracted by a squirrel and 12 other things. And, you know, what I ate for breakfast when I was 5, and what somebody said to me in middle school that upset me. And this helps bring it into focus for air signs. And the Libra energy that things are moving through, and all these retrogrades, are really helping opening up to balance things out. There's an indication of self-care, of cutting yourself a little slack also. You know, like, what's wrong with me? Like, why do I suck? Like, what happened? It's like, why am I nervous? Why, like, Why is there like a busy airport in my head every time I try to like deal with something? So, I mean, some of the issue is that we're dealing with energy work. We're dealing with air stuff, perceptions, thoughts, concepts, like self-narrative. And we see that it goes a lot deeper. This is stuff that's like important for people with air energy. We're just air energy coming through in general, right? Because if one of these planets is sitting in your sun sign or your ascendant sign or your moon sign, or you're actually one of these, or you have a stellium, which is like 3 or more planets in one of these, or you just have a lot of air in your chart in general, whether it's spread out, it's like this is stuff, right? Like if you're like me and you have a lot of come on, the words. I have a Sagittarius stellium and I have a Capricorn stellium. And both of those ruling planets, Jupiter and Saturn, are retrograding in Aquarius. So I'm probably getting clobbered by a lot of this air energy right now. And that's just an example. You could be sun sign Aquarius, you could be sun sign Gemini, you could be like Libra rising, you might be Taurus. And, you know, like Taurus could be passing through one of these right now. It doesn't... Where's the... I'm trying to find an example that's actually happening. What the fuck is... Hang on. Okay. Right, so if you're a Cancer, the moon is going to be in Libra on the 8th and 9th of September. So you might be experiencing a couple days of this kind of energy while the moon is moving through Libra. This is what I'm talking about. You know, like... If your Venus in your chart is in an air sign, whether it's, you know, like my Venus, like if my Venus is in Gemini, then I'm probably going to be hit with this energy this month. That kind of thing. Hopefully that made sense. So there's a lot of different ways that people can be hitting this energy. And even though this is sort of a timed reading for September and October 2021, you know, all times are now, time is fluid, blah, blah, blah. This is just kind of like stamp it and leave it there. And it's more like a coordinates to the destination of this energy. So, you know, like latitude and longitude, and I'm going to use my energy GPS to direct me to this spot so I can, you know, I'm going to take a picture at the Grand Canyon and like click, I'm like, oh, what's, like, look at all of this. So that's what's going on here. If you've been feeling a little bit wonky and you're not sure what your body's been telling you, and there's been some kind of tick or ailment or, you know, itchy skin, absolutely terrified of earthquakes even though you've never been near one, afraid that you're going to run out of food even though you've never encountered poverty in your life, that kind of stuff. those things might be highlighted in this idea that there's deep ancestral trauma, and this framework should help you pinpoint, you know, a eureka moment to say like, oh, okay, this isn't my fault. I'm gonna, like, I understand that I have these some kind of physical symptom that doesn't make any sense. This is where it's coming in. So we have this ancestral link. Okay. So if you want to get a personal reading, I do have a couple of different ancestral related readings. I also have a past life reading, which might work, especially if you keep reincarnating in the same family line. I've got like roadblock moguls. I don't have a reading that's specific to like finding out what your ailment is. I think that might be too specific. But anything that has like a 3D slot in it, like the roadblock moguls has a higher self, like the highest, like a quorum of higher self, a higher self, and then a 3D placement. So anything that's like that would help. Anything with like past, present, future might help. Just even the basic reading, basic inquiry might help because it has. There goes my throat chakra. Thanks, air. Even the basic reading might help because it's like it's like 30 something, 30-ish bucks, but there's wands, cups, swords, and pentacles. So it'll tell you like your sort of soul core, your emotional sector, psychic center, the air center, the throat chakra, right, air, and then the pentacles, which is like manifestation, but it's also the physical body. So that would help too. So any of those kinds of things would probably help pinpoint it more, but they definitely have an ancestor reading. At least one, if not two different ones. I don't remember, it's been a while. But I have specifically ancestral reading. So let me get this. Oh, okay. Okay. Up a little bit more. So you can see the cat-shaped paperclip. If you do want to get a personal reading, you can email me. The cat came back at campalloneword@gmail.com. If you found this reading helpful, you want an energy exchange, hit that tip jar, donate. It's PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo. I have social media. I have coloring books, dark poetry, merch, and prints and actual art items for sale on Etsy. So if you use coupon code 3star17, you'll get 17% off a purchase of 3 or more items. Some of them, like my chapbook packs, which is some of this writing and some of these arts, they're like $3.50. So you get a discount if you get a few of them. It's like a synchronicity stimulus. It might, jog some other, like soul memories, or give you an inclination of what feels right. So those are kind of random. And then I've got a couple of plushies, some foam lotuses, drawings, paintings, etchings, watercolor. Or some of it's psychedelic, some of it's like portraits and animals and stuff. Everything's through the link tree. If you go through the link tree, that code should pop in at the top of the page on Etsy. It'll be, if you go through the link tree, it's easier to click on my email. I think that's everything. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Check out my playlists tab, my discussion tab, and stay groovy, and we'll see you later. Bye. Okay, so this is the guides pile. Got a little phone doodle here, because this is something your guides want to tell you, want to bring to your attention. So it could be your higher self, your inner child, your inner self. It could even be your ego if it's feeling frisky. Angels, ancestors, the god of your chosen religion. Somebody with information. A registered human guide of the higher dimensions. Your favorite friendly ghost. Okay, so we've got the time frame of September 7th through October 6th, which is just sort of a place marker. It's like coordinates to this energy, so it's basically timeless. It's just to mark when it came out, to distinguish it from other readings. So if you're seeing this, then it's the right time, whether it's late summer, early fall of 2021 or not. So we've got air elemental energy here, Mercury, Venus, and Uranus. Or if you're watching for your astrological sign, we have Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, which wants to take a nap right now. So this reading is, this spread that I'm doing for this pile is the help me, I can't afford a reading that I do. It's 6 cards, so I'm doing it a little differently. For the main cards, I'm using my phrase deck because I really want to get what they're saying. And then for the oracle card space, I'm actually using the mini Rider-Waite, so I'm going to get a tarot instead. So I'm just going to switch to it. However I want to do it. So I did clear and shuffle these already. I'll give them another little spritz here. It's awkward because I've got the camera in front of me at kind of a weird angle. I'm going to move this back a little bit. There we go, that's better. Now I've got more room. Oh. This card's coming out, yeah. There we go. Okay. Get in there. Look at this guy. Hands all cramped up. So another little shuffle here. I guess we're taking... No, I don't want to take that one. I wasn't done shuffling. Focus this a little bit. There we go. It's actually a bruise, and I'm not sure quite what I did there. I must have whacked my hand into something. I thought at first it was paint because I was working on my painting, but I was poking at it and it didn't hurt until I poked on it like over in a different spot, but that's actually a bruise. It kind of hurts when I poke at it now, though. Some of those things were being like having chronic pain and being a ginger, I don't really feel stuff until later. So I'm like, where'd that come from? I don't remember doing that. Okay. So I need 5 of these. That orange one kind of wanted to come out, but I'm gonna make them work for their money here. These are the explanation cards. So awkward angle to be shuffling it. Like that blue one. No. I don't know what color the next one's gonna be. Ah, it is orange, okay. And one of these guys. Okay. So I'm going to hair on my elastic. Secondary clauses here, like elves. Look, honey, elvi. Okay. My love will drown your soul. Head in a pile of dead leaves, asleep to reality, willful ignorance. 29. Starlight shines upon you, confirming that your time in darkness is ending. So 140, but possibly 293. Confirming the time in darkness is ending. Huh. It's 5, 11. I really want this. I don't know. I feel like these aren't in the right order. Let's see what these are. I'm melting as you hold me, 33. That's like that times 11. So I'll put this next to the 11. I'll put this over here because it's not really working how I want it to right now. Well, I can pretend that one of them is in focus. Sorry about moving the camera during the show here, but it just that. Okay. This cord that binds me to you is unbreakable. 115, which breaks down to 7. 9 and 5 is 14. Which breaks down to 5, and this is also 14 breaking down to 5. 11 breaks down to 2. 6. Okay. 2, 3. 5, 6, 7. Okay. Okay, now I've got it in order. Head in a pile of dead leaves, asleep to reality, willful ignorance. My love will drown your soul. Starlight shines upon you, confirming your time in darkness is ending. I'm melting as you hold me. This cord that binds me to you is unbreakable. Notice how I drew a phone cord on here. What's this? The 5 of Wands. Conflict. I just heard conquest in my head, like Jack White, like conquest. This is making me think of the willful ignorance. 5 of Wands. I had these like mostly memorized, but then I've been stressed out with emergency after emergency lately, so my trauma brain is just like can't remember cards and symbols right now. So 5 of Wands, traditionally Saturn in Leo, but I've reassigned Neptune. Neptune in Leo. But if I take the Saturn, that's retrograding in Aquarius. That brings in this air energy, especially when the 5 matches the 5 here on Starlight, which is Aquarius energy. Libra is 11, that's justice. 6 is the Lovers, that's Gemini. This is healing. That's a connection. I didn't want to get more cards, but I'm probably going to have to for this one. Because it seems like these concepts are leapfrogging each other. The guides are telling you something. Like, I feel like the guides themselves are saying to you, head in a pile of dead leaves, asleep to reality. It's like there's something that you're fighting against, like you refuse to accept or to learn it. Right? Willful ignorance. You don't want to look at this, you don't want to work on it. Like, I'm constantly fighting with you. I'm like, hey, if you want things to get better, person that I am the guide of, maybe this. And you're like, no, we're not doing that. I'm not going there. I don't do that. Nope. I feel like the "my love will drown your soul" is your guide talking to you. But I feel like the guide is saying, is this what you're afraid of? If you open up to me, that you're going to suffocate in some way. This "I'm melting as you hold me" makes me want to think that your guides are trying to establish some kind of thing where you'll be in a relationship. But Gemini can be, with the Lover's energy, it can be healing or a choice. The fact that there's 2 3s means that there's like 2 equal choices. Like equal opportunity, whatever. Like if you've been choosing not to do healing work, not to do shadow work. And notice that the 3 is on this. Like, are you afraid of this? 11 coming in could be the union of the masculine and the feminine, that twin flame number, but it's also universal timing. But when I was trying to figure out where this goes in here, it says, "I'm melting as you hold me." It makes me think of M&M's. It melts in your mouth, not in your hand. It's like, you think I'm going to drown you, but really, I'm something that can be dissolved easily in your system, right? It's like a solution. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Goes down easier than you think. This cord that binds me to you is unbreakable. It's like, you know, if your guide is assigned to you, it's kind of like, I'm not gonna be able to not be here. Like, you're making this harder on both of us. I didn't ask to come in here and make you do your shadow work. I can't make you do it anyway, but if you open up to it, like, it's gonna be a lot easier. I'm not allowed to just leave, but it's like, I can't help you if you don't open up to what I'm trying to tell you. This, and again, if this is coming in as your guide's trying to get you into prepare you for a romantic relationship, it's like you sort of signed a contract with another person to do something in this life, and if it's looking like a romantic relationship, they're kind of warning you that it's coming in. Like, if you stay in this sort of ignorance and fight against what you've planned on doing in this life, you're not going to be prepared for how huge the connection is. It also says whale here. There's a depth to it. I will drown your soul, whale. If you get into this idea of being able to breathe underwater, doing your shadow work, working on your emotions, you'll be able to hold your breath when that water comes rushing in. This cord that binds me to you is unbreakable. What is it? It's, a diver with an air tube hooked up to the boat, and your guide is the boat. They're like, okay, well, keep this air coming, and you just kind of go down in there in the depths and say hi to the whales for me while they're hanging out down there. It gives this like emotional depth, this attachment to something that's like ancient. And ancient could be past life, but it also could just be like before you were born. Like, my soul contract, I'm gonna meet up with this person and da 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 da. And your guides are like, is it the time to heal? What are you doing here? Like, you can't just, you gotta get out of the dead leaves there. And you're like, no, I don't want to, because it's hard. No. This, starlight shines upon you, confirming your time in darkness is ending. It's like, look, if you're gonna do your shadow work, 11 and 5 is 16, that's the Tower. You gotta, like, let stuff crumble in a little bit, right? If you, like, your tower is rotting, I can see the moon through the thatching. Let's just tear it down, rip it open, get to clean it off, pour the water in there, and, like, look, now what can you see? You can see the starlight. There's illumination, but it's like sparkling and twinkling, like glitter, like sequins. Everything takes on a shimmery quality. It's not just like reflecting and shining like the moon. The stars actually sparkle. There's a fluctuation, right? There's like starlight twinkles. There's a duality to it. It's like, it's on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, and that creates that shimmer and sparkle. So there's this idea that if you stop fighting this sort of unity with your own darkness, then you'll end up with a deeper connection to your guides, but also to this sort of emotional healing that's available at this time. The key number here is 11, which is, in most decks, Justice, which is Libra energy. We're finding that there's a lot going on in Libra this month. Mercury retrograding in Libra. Moon in Libra on the 8th and 9th. Where's my thing? Where's my piece of paper? Moon in Libra on the 8th and 9th. Mars heads into Libra on the 15th. Venus in Libra until the 9th. And then Mercury and the Sun in Libra on the 22nd as well. So there's a lot going on. But it's about balance. It's about, Justice is kind of like a comeuppance in the middle of the major arcana. It's kind of like how a 6 operates in the minor. We have a 6 here, and we have a 5. If we want to move it to 6, then we'd have a victory. Right? You've got to let this abrasiveness dissolve a little bit. If you're hitting someone with a stick, it's a lot more aggressive than if you're hitting them with a stick of butter, which will actually melt as you hold it. Right? There's a softening. There's a pivot, right? It's like, maybe if I just kind of, again, it's like if I stop combating the idea that my guide is there to help me, a guide's plural, it will open up this idea of 6. 6 wands, victory. Is that the Sun? No. Jupiter in Leo. Jupiter in Leo is like your luck is on your side. This is like everything sucks. Like, I hate it. But again, it's like shifting your perspective and how you think about things, how your attitude, that's all air energy. That's thoughts, perceptions, information. So this is what the battle is. It's the air energy, is how you're perceiving yourself, the world around you, and how to tap into your guides better. But there's a lot of melty water, flowy energy here too. And that's because psychic energy is in the heart chakra where that water energy is. Aquarius is pretty moist. It's like the watery air sign. Gemini is like the fiery air sign. And Libra is like the earthy air sign, especially because it's ruled by Venus. And this idea that the healing comes with, if you can upgrade to the Lovers from the Six of Wands, there's a fire energy there. I'm like the phoenix rising from my own ashes. But this star energy, that's Aquarius as well. So in this particular reading, there is a little bit going on between the other two, but it is heavily leaning on Aquarian energy. Although this 6 here is really... I mean, they're all there. They've all been in all 3 of the piles. This is... It's opening up to sort of your luck improving, a healing going on, a relief. More of a union of your light, your shadow, and your waking life, and better reception to your guides. And then alternately, if it resonates, or also on top of that, there's an aspect of your guides setting you up for a really sparkly romantic relationship that you contracted, that you wrote a contract, you signed a contract to. Not like contracted, like, oh, I've come down with a relationship, I need some healing now. Contractually obligated. Now Libra also can also be law. Your soul contractually obligated to be with someone, and your guides are like, hey, you know that person that you agreed to meet up with in this life? Well, they're in my office. I've got them on the line here, so shall I bring them out to meet you? And you're like, what are you talking about? I didn't freaking do anything. So it's clearing up any sort of misconceptions in, what your guides are trying to do with you right now. And again, your guides can't really do anything unless you let them in a little bit. This is your guides coming and be like, hey, we're your guides. And you're like, get the fuck out of here. It's not like, oh, you're my guides. I didn't realize you were hanging out here. Like, come and help me out here, man. Meanwhile, this is you running around. This is like you, and you're like all these characters, and you're trying to build this tower at the same time, but you need someone else to hold it for you. So you're like over here, and I'm gonna put a stick over here, I'll put the stick over there, and you're just kind of like one of those family circus with Billy, where he's like got steps all over the house. This is, in between you changed outfits because you're like, maybe my outfit is what's screwing me up trying to build this thing. So it's like, it's sort of like calming your own internal monologue, so that you're clearing up enough bandwidth for your guides to be like, we're on standby, you need a hand, and then you being like, no, I don't need any help, get out here. It's like, oh yeah, why don't you come down here? I need a minute. I could use a hand for a second. And they're like, okay, now let's get into it. It's one of those like stop your mind racing Ooh, free your mind and the rest will follow. There we go. Alright, so that's what your guides are trying to get into you for right now. If you want to get a personal reading, I feel like Roadblock Moguls would be good for this too, because it has 5D and then the sort of guide quorum. But if you want any more information, you can check out the readings that I offer. The list is going to be in the description box down underneath here. I have merch and prints and actual art items for sale. You can email me for a reading. Etsy, there's a coupon, 3-star 17, that's all caps. You get 17% off the purchase of 3 or more items. Some of them are only a few bucks. So you get like a chapbook pack, which is like a synchronicity stimulus. It's like getting a few cards. It's like the cost of a greeting card. It's like $3.50. So if you get a few of those, you get a discount. And if you get 3 of anything, whether it's $3 or $20 or $150, you still get the discount. So all of these points of contact, if you want to donate energy exchange, hit that tip jar. If you found this useful, informative, helpful, it's PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo. So all of these contact points, email, merch and stuff, social media, it's all through the link tree. linktr.ee/cattheminion. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, check out my playlists tab, my discussion tab, and stay groovy, and we'll see you later. Bye.